Okay, then let's start. First of all, welcome to the last day of the ALM Summit. We see that many people survived the party, which is good. Also good that Xavier and I. And we'll take the next 45 minutes to talk about ITSM integration. How to integrate ITSM systems of yours into the SAP backbone. When will that happen? When will that be available? And what will happen in the coming quarters? With me in the presentation here on stage is Xavier Dupérat, Head of API Integration. I think you met him already several times during the event. Good.
Hello. Good to see you again.
So, let's start right away. Some of you might have seen our announcement already last year. We talked about that. We announced it, that it will come. I think it's important to say that also for this piece, we will keep the promise. We will deliver that at the end of this year. And what it is an alternative to integrating via Solution Manager. This is the way that was the standard for decades, I would say. And now the idea was, can we offer an attractive alternative to that takes into consideration the fact that many of you, customers and partners, have their own ITSM solutions and would not need to rely on the ITSM capabilities of Solution Manager for ticket exchange. So the idea was that we directly connect your system with the SAP backbone via APIs. And we focused on 3 use cases. And the focus of these 3 use cases is not just so because integrating application support is a nice thing to do. We have SAP for me, we've deliberately put offerings for self-service. And this is also for good reason. But in the area of operations and operation support, this integration makes a lot of sense. And therefore, I would like to start with the use case in the middle, which is the transfer of outage events into your system. This already exists, and you might have heard about that also during the event via Business Service Management. It's not only possible to export the standard events that come via Cloud Availability Center, but also your own out of BSM into your solution. And that might be a trigger for creating a support ticket, and that support process is well known. It's a classical way of exchanging tickets between SAP and customer or partner. And the third use case should also not be forgotten. In the cloud-centric environment, proactive tickets play a growing role. Customers often ask, what is the difference between a SAP case and that proactive case? In the end, technically, there's no difference. The only thing is that this is classically created by the customer, received by SAP, and processed there. And the proactive one is created by SAP proactively. We see this in operations teams that send that out to customers in case of urgent action needed. But we also have use cases out of support that start to grow. So these are the 3 focus areas. As we indicate here, all of it will be become available via Cloud ALM. There's this more illustrative display here of how this will work, and it already considers that ITSM solutions are a central part of your landscape. That is a fact, and therefore when we put Cloud ALM into that equation, the key will be the API integration between these 2 systems. It will be typical classical REST APIs. So for most of you, something that to be integrated is not rocket science. And what will be offered, and Xavier will talk more about the details, but basically we offer your self-service. That is new. Solution Manager does not do that, and we will come to that in a minute. The full case management package, proactive case management, and of course handling master data. Every ticket requires master data, so landscape data, as-user data, component data needs to be integrated as well. And as mentioned before, the event notification data will be available in your system via the respective APIs. And with that, you enable that interaction. So it's pretty simple actually from a scenario point of view, but one thing should be mentioned. For those customers who don't have that and say now, well, the Solution Manager did this capability of ITSM goes away, there's also third-party offerings in the ecosystem, and they're growing. Here, for example, I see Lars Olböter. These offerings will be more and more, and wait a second, and these will substitute or can substitute this part, meaning a third-party solution can have the API integration in its belly and simplifies that connection and the respective processes. Now, let's summarize what we call the must-knows. As said before, it is an option. It is an alternative. Does the integration via Solution Manager go away? No, absolutely not. You can do and continue doing that, but on top or aside or replacement, you can use this API integration. The purpose is the same. As said before, we don't intend to move all customers to API-based support. Our support portals are there for good reason, and you continue to have everything there, but especially for these operations and operation support use cases and several partner scenarios, this is the to-go solution. As said too, there's 3 use cases at the moment: support cases, proactive cases, and self-service options combined with outage event data. Now you might ask, what about other objects like service requests? This question comes quite often. We'll see on the roadmap later on that we focus on this too. It will happen after the release of this first wave. And it's not forgotten. We fully understand the requirement for that integration as well. Important to mention is that this integration is fully ITSM provider agnostic. A frequent question too: does this require that I have a specific provider ITSM? No. You can, because REST APIs integrate in any solution. I don't want to say names here, and we all know that, but there are many out there. And talking to customers, we see it's quite diverse. Therefore, API integration gives you this freedom to integrate in whatever you have in place. We will stick with the standards, 100%. So whatever will be created here is an SAP ticket, and therefore follows the rules for SAP tickets, meaning the fields that will stay the same. I think we have a decade-long history of keeping that constant, so we won't change it in 2024. This gives you also the compatibility to other access points of support. If you have a ticket that you create via this integration, you will see that, and we will show this in the demo, also in SAP for me, and vice versa. So you have full compatibility to all access points, including built-in support, our mobile application, and the solution manager. Last but not least, as said, it will be available for customers and partners. With partners, we will also communicate it via the partner programs. So that's important. We will also roll out in specific waves. As customers, you will be able to consume this first. For the partners, it depends on the partner program. So that's an important information in case you are a VAR partner, for example, or other partner scenarios. So here we'll communicate via the program. Good. Now quickly showing the process, because often it's asked, how do we include that self-service thingy? What is that? Normally we create tickets, we manage tickets, we answer to tickets, we close them. But we want to show the benefits of that in a very simple flowchart. Usually you have a trigger. It might be an internal ticket or more than internal tickets or an event. Whatever it is, if you need to create a case, you can now not only create it with the typical payload, but you can take a part of the payload. Let's assume you have a problem in some areas. You have just a subject and a description from an internal user. You can throw this into our self-service APIs, and they will come back with answers. ISM we will give you, so get solution recommendations, and if the help for categorization is needed, maybe out of some application area, there's a question, and the question is, what component does this belong to? We will offer this as well. And it might now be that you say, oh, this did not help me. I checked everything first. Then you can create the respective ticket right away. But you can also step back and say, okay, this helped. And this goes now deeply in your processes. Depending on how you design support in your organization, depending on the area, you can design this workflow as efficient as you want. And we come to that in a second. This is not the end of the story. There's many things we have in the backlog we will add to the self-service APIs over time. The second part of the story is pretty simple. Of course, you can retrieve lists of cases, you can change them, and this includes also the proactive ones. So the proactive cases created on SAP side will be integrated via the read into your system. It totally depends on you how timely you want to do that, but as a matter of fact, you are up to date at any point in time. Good, now briefly, before we go to a demo, mention again that self-service API, because there's often questions, what will you offer? And then you say, okay, there's something on the roadmap. What is that? As said before, you can throw in any part of your ticket. It can really be considered as a recommender that is made available for you. And then you get a list of KBAs. It's really like a Google result list. And then you can render this in your system and display it there. This list will over time also contain information like hot and critical knowledge. We flag short-term for outages or outbreaks or something similar. So this also is just a start and will evolve over time. And the second service you will get is the component prediction, a classical categorization algorithm. Those of you familiar with AI know that's a very good use case. We have 16,000 of them. Now let's take ticket content, categorize, and predict and give you back a list of components. And one last word regarding the ISM, because that slide is shown sometimes also by our leadership. Yes, SAP works intensively with large language models. Yes, we also include them into our AI service. And what was just released on our site and is available via SAP for me in build-in support and also via this API is an LLM-infused ISM. What you see here is quite nicely with this semantic enhancement. We boost the performance by around 25%. And that's not exclusive for SAP for me. No, this is exactly what you get as well. If we will go further, you will get this too. This is the beauty of AI services, and that kind of integration you will get wherever we are with the level of AI in support. Good. And with this, Xavier, I hand over to you.
Okay. Just 1 minute.
We have first this.
Okay, I can start with this. Okay, good. Just so before going into the demonstration, I will just explain the content that we are going to deliver. So available today, we have API which you can use already in your ITSM solution. So we have the SAP Cloud ALM landscape where you can already, via API from your own ITSM system or any other system, browse the information of the landscape connected to your SAP Cloud ALM. And we have also the resource change API, which is used to react on event occurring in SAP Cloud ALM. So if you want to create a ticket from an alert, you should use this API, a ticket in ServiceNow, or do an action in Jira, you can do it with those APIs. What we are going to deliver end of this quarter, actually we are in pilot phase, so it's already delivered, and what I will show is the pilot version in production. And so we have on one side the case API, so create, upload, modify a case. Then we have the attachment API to upload and read attachment. So you want to add a PDF or screenshot of your case, you will do it with the attachment API. Then we have the self-service API based on the incident solution matching. So what Willy was explained, I will show it again, where you can get today, you can get solution recommendation or categorization. So give me a list of KBAs corresponding to my issue, give me a list of possible components that I can use to qualify my incident, my case. And then we have 3 APIs, which are we call master data. So there you can get a list of all components which are accessible by the support backbone. So if you don't know which component you want to use, you can get a list of the possible components, again, to give the correct attributes to your case. we have another one, which is the landscape, another landscape API, or complement of the first landscape API, because this landscape API will be used in the VAR-D partner scenario to get the landscape of the customer for which the VAR-D partner is offering services. Because this, the VAR-D, in the VAR-D scenario, the customer landscape is not in SAP Cloud ALM, but you can get those information via this API. And the last master data API we have is the contact. You get a list of S users belonging to a customer number. So with all those types of API, you can think now of the type of solution you can build on your own, or how you want to integrate those API in ServiceNow to implement your own ITSM processes. So it's very, so I think with this, we believe that you have the full coverage to build or to implement your own ITSM process as you want. So what I will do now, I will switch to my laptop and it's minute just okay. So hello. Okay. Yep. So now it's a demo of an API. Continue. Okay, quit. Okay. So it's not very, I don't have UI, it's an API. So what I will show now is API calls. So I'm using an HTTP client. This is how you could test your API also. Again, now what I'm showing there is an HTTP client connected to my SAP Cloud ALM tenant. Okay? And the SAP Cloud, my SAP Cloud ALM tenant is then connected to the SAP support backbone. So every API call I will do, I will send that to SAP Cloud ALM, and SAP Cloud ALM will forward the call to the backbone. Okay? So the first thing I would like to show is the recommendation. So in that case, I have a specific endpoint on the top. I hope you know a little bit how to work with APIs. And this is the body I will send to the API. And then I have the answer of the API. So this is what I wanted to show. So if I send the request, then it connects to SAP Cloud ALM and connect to the backbone, and then I get the answer. And from there, what I did there, based on the subject and the description and some other parameters, customer number, installation number, but subject description are the most important, I get from the backbone, via using our AI technology, a list of possible components which correspond to your problem. So again, this should accelerate the resolution. So first thing, if you don't know the component, you have the subject description, or a way that you can qualify your incidents, then you use this API. And again, there is a list of, it's a JSON that you need to inspect in ServiceNow in your own development tool. The next action you can do is, again, based on the same subject description, you get a list of recommendation or solution that you can apply. And then what you can see there is not the KBA notes ID, that then you can use to browse in the support backbone to get a full description of the KBA notes, but still you have a summary of it already. So it helps very, again, it's a way to prevent the case creation on your side, to get a list of solutions, check if the solution is correct or not, and then if it's not correct, then you should go to the case creation. So the case creation, case creation, yes. So in that case, when I do a case creation, this is the body that you need to set to pass. I hope it's not too small. In that case, when you want to create a case, you have to pass the following attributes. So the priority of your case, very high, medium. The component. If you don't know the component, then you can get a recommendation on the component there, a categorization, customer ID, system ID, installation number, a subject of the case, the description. Okay? You could pass the business impact also, or the language, there are optional parameters. And then if you send this, what you get is an ID, the ID of the case that you have to store on your own system. But based on that, the case is already visible in SAP for me or by the support engineer in SAP. So what I'll do now, I will do some read operation. First, I will try to get all the cases created since this morning. Okay, this I'll do a send. So for this, I'm asking with this API call, you get all the tickets created since today. This is the date you passed. This is how you can filter also, get the list of cases created for your installation number, for your systems. And based with the case ID, then you can browse and access the case data. So if I ask, give me the case created since yesterday, then I have more cases, okay? This is how it works. So this lets you know which cases have been updated since the last query of the case in the backbone. What you can do after, there is a case read. For the case read, you have to, there is no body to pass. You just have to give the case ID and send the request. And the result will be this list. I can do it again. No. Okay. It's the pilot. Happens. Just a minute. Let me, I want to, as you can see, we are still in pilot phase. Yes, okay. Okay, so this is why we do pilot phase, actually, to solve those kind of issues. But the result is, again, a JSON file with all the information corresponding to your case. Okay. You could, you can find the same cases in SAP for me. So this is the case I have created in SAP for me with the same title. So as soon as you use the API and create the case with the API from SAP Cloud ALM, it's visible in SAP for me in the same way, okay? And it's visible also in ServiceNow. So now the case has been sent to SAP, and there is the description that I was using during the case creation. Okay, so just to show it again, this is the case creation. This is the text I pass. Hello, SAP support. I want to create a ticket, and you see it in SAP for me. And now I think Willy will play the role of the SAP support engineers and will change the status, assign the case to you.
Exactly.
Yes, and change and answer something.
Good, so I'm now in my internal system. I play SAP support now. Well, I am.
You are SAP support.
Exactly, so I will assign that to myself. That is the standard procedure. I will look into the data, and what Xavier just created is visible in our internal ITSM. That's of course, the standard process, and then I will create an external reply, also standard process, to send that. And I'm just typing now and will ask for case contacts, for example. Yeah. So give me a sec. Okay. Please add case contacts. And that is something you should get now via API. Thanks.
Okay.
So I sent this now.
So
and it's saved. and therefore transmitted and should be retrievable by you.
So then what I'll do, I will use another part of the API, which is the comments. So I will do a get to read the case comments, and I'll do that. It's quite easy to do. This is the pass comments in the case, and then I will get the answer from SAP. Now I play the customer. That will come. Yes. So you see there, yes, you see. Is it too small or is it visible? Okay. Maybe not in the very back. Okay. So there you see that we have the answer from SAP, there, the comments. Okay. So this is how you can interact with it. In SAP for me, if I do a refresh, I should see exactly the same. So again, to illustrate that every time you call the API, it's the backbone that we call. So there you see we have the second answer. Okay. You answer twice? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just to be sure. Okay.
Just to be sure.
It should be urgent. No? Okay. Okay. Yes, correct, I didn't see it. So I have it twice. So what I will do, then I can post for contacts. And this is done by another action. I will patch the contact. Okay. So this is another API call, another endpoint to send contacts. So it's always the same. You have an endpoint, you have a JSON as an input parameter, and you have a JSON and the output parameter. And also the return code of the API. 200, it's a REST call, it means the API is okay. So what I'll send now, I will send these 3 contacts, and they will be attached to the case, because the case ID actually is passed as parameters. And in the body of the API, there is the list of contacts. Now I'll send that to the backbone, and the case contact should be updated. I guess the network is not so good there. Or it's too early in the morning.
Too early in the morning, right. But what I will do in parallel, like receiving the case contacts, I will add something typical knowledge, to a case. So I will attach a KBA, and let's see, Xavier, maybe as last demonstration, if knowledge can also be replicated via the API.
Usually it's faster. Not. Okay, it was slow, but yes, very slow, I would say. Not usually. So now the contacts are there. So if I go to SAP for me, in the contact, I have my 3 contacts which I've sent. Okay, and now they are, of course, visible there. So what you could do, we simulate an exchange between a customer and a SAP support. Then you could add a node. You will add a KBA.
I have added a KBA right now.
It's already, so again, I hope. Then you need, to get the list of KBAs, there is another endpoint, case articles, that you and you send it. I hope it will be faster this time. It was super fast yesterday. So there you should receive the KBA. Oh, okay. And you have the KBA number. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Yes.
I think that's so far so good.
Thanks.
Illustrating how it works. Yeah. Thanks, Xavier. Thanks a lot. Keep it. Yeah. Sure. Happy to. Good.
Okay. I know you. Yeah, Mr. Questions. We have a mic. Yes.
Microphone.
Yeah. My question is, in SAP for me, you see a semantical key. small number / year.
Ah,
Here we see a technical key, but I don't see the semantical key. So
you can guess it actually from there.
sure,
But in SAP for me, you can get also. So of course there we are using the correlation ID or internal key. This is the one which is used also in the backbone. And the semantic key, as you said, is this one. Okay. And if you look to so it's number plus date. If you look to the internal key, you will find there also the same information. So you can guess it. But actually you don't need, you don't need the semantical key, I think. When using the API, you should go always with the internal key. Okay, but if you want to, you can do it, yes.
people are very heterogeneous.
Okay, yes. Of course, if your own ITSM system, you want to display something which is similar to SAP for me, then you will have to extract the key. Yes. It's not provided in the API. We could have provided it, but it's decided not to do it. But it's accessible. Okay. But in general, all the attributes you find in SAP for me, you will find them there also. That's our goal. It's really like it's an additional channel to access the backbone. And when it's in the backbone, support backbone, it's the same information that you can find. Questions? Okay.
How is authentication realized? How is the authentication done? When coming from an external system, usually maybe the SID is not in the system. How is it realized?
You mean authentication from the API to Cloud ALM?
No, from the external system to...
So from the external system to SAP Cloud ALM, so...
I mean, it's 2 steps here, from the external system to Cloud ALM, from Cloud ALM to create a ticket.
You, as a user of the API, or you customer of SAP Cloud ALM, you need just to connect to SAP Cloud ALM using the standard protocol to connect to the API. So it's the OAuth 2 protocol that we use. That we return when we create a case via the API, we return the case ID. So the case ID is then used always to find this correlation ID, this big number ID. This is what you are going to use to track the ticket always. But the communication between SAP Cloud ALM and the backbone, this is done by us. So you don't. We have our own mechanism to authenticate there, but you have to pass a valid S user in the request. If you don't pass a valid S user corresponding to your customer number, then it will be rejected. Okay? So that's the thing.
So this is the only way you have the S user.
You have to, yeah, the only way. S user ID and a valid connection to the SAP Cloud ALM tenant. And the S user ID should belong to the customer number of your SAP Cloud ALM tenant also. This is how you can prevent that you see the ticket of other customers.
Does the user to be in the user management of Cloud ALM, or is it just enough to have
It could be another user of your customer number. Yes, another S user of your own customer number. It doesn't have to be the one in SAP Cloud ALM. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can we switch?
Right. No, to add to this, the S user management or the authentication via S user bound to the normally it's the support contract will not change. That's important. Therefore, it's a good question. So we do not open up ticketing to any user according to contract. That it's exactly the same as before. So as you pointed out, the S user, the valid S user for installation for customer needs to be available to do that. The same will happen to the VAR partners when we go about this relationship between VAR delivered support partner and customer.
I have a question about the preparation of the ticket. When I created my first case for a cloud issue, I was faced with 200 different system IDs, or I don't know, items, and I didn't know which one to choose. Here I would love to have some AI help to choose the right item. In the past, it was easy. You had the installation number, you had the sys ID,
Yeah.
easy. But now, 200 items, I don't know, we have two accounts. I have the impression that every entitlement has its own item.
Actually, the installation number and system number processes should stay the same. I think we might need to look into that. Authorization via installation ID stays, so the selection in this particular case via the API will also stay the same. You will have the ability to not only with this one API, I don't know if you've shown that, the systems to list them, the respective installations, but also select and add that to the payload. So that should not change. But I do not know your setup in detail. Maybe we take this question after the call and look into it, yeah.
Yeah.
But here we have no particular change. I mean, I like the idea of AI to use it for some selection processes. As we said, for the component, we have AI. For the solutions, we have AI. There's definitely also options to come up with something where system and problem are correlated. So I would not say no to it, but I would ask that we look into that. Well, installation and no matter if cloud or on-prem. Also important, it works the same way for cloud and on-prem systems. Okay, I would say we have a quick look at the timeline and the roadmap for what we will offer. As said before, the support case integration and the proactive case integration will become available end of the year. You find this already in the Roadmap Explorer for Cloud ALM. There's already entered. The outage notification data integration is already available. This API is there. Together with that, we have the scope for customers at the end of the year. When somebody asks, with 1st of January, you can start implementing. For VAR partners, VAR delivered support partners, we will roll this out in course of Q1. Yeah? So we start in waves. First customers, then VAR partners, and then other scenarios. Yeah? The VAR partner scenario is important to us. There's a few things we need to complete in Q1. Then the information will also come via the program, as said before. Then we have that for VAR partners. It is absolutely clear that we get further requests. And when talking to customers, we most often hear service request integration. As said before, we look into that in 25. Yeah? We are currently collecting input, yeah? In close collaboration with DSAG, customer groups, customers specifically, RISE customers. We really want to understand what requirements are there for the service request integrations, and there might be more coming up. And then I also want to mention that the billing support integration, which we showed last year, will stay for 25. In scope, that would be the integration from the cloud application end user into your ITSM system. So there's loads on the roadmap, and I think with this, yeah, we can go over to the official Q&A part. We started it already, but in case there are questions, then please feel free to ask.
No.
Hello, can you hear
Yes.
me? Okay.
Yeah.
The communication between the, let's say, customer's ITSM system and the SAP backbone service ticket. So let's say if the SAP employee is updating the ticket, how can the customer efficiently understand that there is new information, so to say that he should use the API now to retrieve it? Yeah. What is the process here? Yeah, we will keep, maybe I answer that, we will, for the beginning, we keep the decade-long, I would say, approved and well-working pull principle active. So usually you will set kind of a timer every, let's say, 10 minutes, yeah, or 5 minutes if you want to do so, to retrieve, as Xavier was pointing out, the last changes. And with that, you have in your system whatever might be new. It's also true that we evaluate potential push approaches, but this is not there yet. Yeah, that would then change base, push that information out to the receiving end. Yeah. But at the moment, you continue to go with iterative updates on your end. I think we have
regarding search. You said that it's a full text search on subject and description. Is it possible to give additional information, for example, a best practice process, or is it possible to have additional things to narrow the search?
Two comments to this. Yeah, it is not actually a search; it's a recommender. Meaning, what you just said, contextual information is taken into consideration when you offer us subject and description and system, where we retrieve product or component and so on, attachments in the future too. Then we analyze everything, and with this ISM recommender, we give holistic feedback. So we look at this ticket, we compare it with millions of other tickets, we look for potential solution, and then provide you with the best recommendations. So it's not a keyword search in this context. But what you just said, it is definitely possible that we extend with AI use cases where we say maybe some educational enablement content or whatever. Yeah. So this is the kind of the beauty of this self-service API. We can add modules or elements to it in the future to, for example, serve these use cases.
One of the problems is that you get too much information back and not only that what you really need.
Yeah, I mean, in this regard, it will come back as a ranked list. Yeah, it's up then to you for the implementation, how you display that. There will be a guideline for AI implementation also offered by us. We currently have this in the pilot, which gives you best practice on how to integrate AI into UIs.
So, I have a short question about the user administration. The post API retrieves the users, the S user from the back end with the customer number. So I'm part of a VAR. Good for the customer, it's the same, just that the customer number is the same. At the present time, it's automatically created a user information SU01. I assume that has a responsibility of the ITSM, external ITSM system in the future to do that properly in the external system. In other words, the API retrieves the user ID, and then the information has to be produced or replicated in the external ITSM system in order to be usable for the system, I assume.
I would say it depends on how you want to implement your own ITSM solution. What we provide is a read-only API to return the list of S user belonging to a customer number.
Yes, exactly.
But that's all actually. And then if you want to store that in your system, then you could do it actually. But
okay.
You have to be sure it's refreshed correctly. It's the same with the incident or the case number that we return the correlation ID. You have to store it on your system.
Of course.
Yes. There is no API to create S user.
Okay, but that was the master data that is in the back end for the user. At the present time, comes also into the solution manager. For example, the telephone number. I assume is that this information also being retrieved, or is it just the S user itself?
No, there will be more information.
Okay,
this is why it's called contact, actually, yes.
Okay, good.
So,
Thank
yes.
you.
Oops. Behind.
Konstantin, over there.
Okay, I have several questions. Beginning, you showed several columns, several kind of requests or cases. When we say, okay, we are only interested on getting the updates of or getting new cases, proactive cases in the last 10 minutes. Is a filter actually available or planned? That I say only proactive notification, it's new proactive notifications.
So, this is what we discussed.
Yeah,
also,
okay,
yes.
but we could also later discuss.
No, but I mean, it's true that, so you are talking about the case API, the case list API, where you would like to give me all the cases, the new cases created from yesterday.
So not only the new cases, the classification of cases. I'm only interested on maybe the proactive cases, proactive notifications, and not the manually created support tickets.
Yeah, so just to so what I've shown there today, we filter only on dates in the current version, and this is also why we do this pilot, so to get feedback. And I think adding a filter on statuses would be also nice, very interesting, because I want to get only the new ticket or only the change ticket. So we will extend based on your feedback also, and it's a new API that we'll have to enrich actually. Adding new field, new methods is not an issue with APIs. So I think we will add such filtering capabilities in the search on the get list case, yes.
Okay.
But today it's only the date.
That's okay. So both the status and the type of notifications.
Right. I mean, you touch a very good topic. When talking to customers, they also say we maybe don't want to look at all areas. Yeah, we also want this for some components, operations components. That should also be possible. It should not be necessary to retrieve all tickets. Bigger companies might have many areas and they want to diversify. So the feedback is good. Yeah, and as Xavier said, these filters will also be added in the way that they are needed. Proactive case is another good example. Can a proactive case be retrieved extra? Because this might go a different way.
Also, I want to exclude tickets which are manually created in the SAP for me. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And take one more. No more questions, as it seems. Thank you very much, Xavier.
Thank you, everybody.